I didn't have any qualifications, but it did not stop me.
You've started designing some cups or making some cups.
I handmade every single one. One turned into 10, 10 turned into 100, and it just kept going and going. And then I put it on Etsy, and it just went mad. And I made 60,000 sales in that first year.
That is some meteoric growth.
And I kind of always wanted to do something that gave back to the planet as well as the people.
What was your marketing strategy for that, and where were the sales actually coming from? Do you start with one core design? At what point do you diversify? Where are you hosting? Where are you selling products? What's your tech stack look like?
Unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 15. That single day completely changed my life, completely. I went through a really tough time with grief, and I developed an eating disorder. I just can't keep going like this. I can't have this spiral of self-destruction. I think people, they're a bit too afraid to make some disruption. And I think everyone's a bit too much of a sheep.
That we also need to get into.
Yeah.
Hello, Katie.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on to Rebels podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So exciting. I've come all the way from Manchester to London for this episode and the next one.
I feel honoured.
You should be.
I really am.
I braved motion sickness on the train this morning.
I know. We went through so many heights for that.
But I actually saw you on my LinkedIn newsfeed probably 4 or 5 months ago, perhaps. Okay. And just you were everywhere. The visibility of your content. I was like, I need to see what's going on here.
That just popped up out of nowhere, I feel like.
It feels like that.
Yeah, it's been a bit wild. It's just been so quick, so like that almost. But yeah. I kind of haven't kept up with it. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, and obviously you're known for your brand Peppermint.
Yes. Which,
in fact, tell us a little bit about Peppermint, just for context.
Okay, so Peppermint, everyone asks me why Peppermint, the name. It's a bit bizarre because I obviously do reusable iced coffee cups, and that's how I started. But the name Peppermint comes from my parents' company. So when I was growing up, my dad had an interior design business called Peppermint Interiors, and I wanted to keep the name, so I kept the name and did my own little business. But started talking about it on LinkedIn about a year ago, and it's just been insane. People have picked it up really crazily, so yeah, it's been fab.
Yeah, and I want to rewind before we talk about present day and all the advice you have for people in product-based businesses or wanting to start an ecom brand. But where did all of this start? Growing up, did you always want to be a business owner?
Yeah, no, actually I didn't. I actually wanted to be a marine biologist for ages as a kid. So I was always really into sustainability and kind of giving back to the planet. And I went through lots of different phases. Also wanted to be a pilot, paramedic. I've been through all of it. But I think because my parents had a business growing up, I always kind of saw the entrepreneur side and saw, how sometimes they would do really well and sometimes it would be a struggle and kind of the challenges within that. And I kind of really liked the idea that every day wasn't the same. I also have ADHD, so I kind of really found my footpath within that kind of crazy world. So I think when I turned 15, that's the turning point to when I started my business, and kind of going down that route without even knowing it. So unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 15. He died in a motorcycling accident. So I think my childhood all the way up to that point was fantastic. Classic British childhood. Went to a nice school, had great friends, and you just, how it was. But when I was 15 and that single day completely changed my life, completely. So everything from just family dynamics, things we had to sell our family house because we just couldn't afford it, just completely turned everything haywire. So I think I found it really difficult to deal with that. And I went through a really tough time with grief, and I developed an eating disorder, which again, having to struggle with that as a teenager was really hard. So I think I was always kind of not really sure of myself and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I went to college, did environmental science, biology, and what else did I? I did maths, but I dropped out of maths because I was really bad at it. But I kind of really liked the sciencey, environmental side of things. And I did that for a while, I really enjoyed it. And then COVID hit. And then I was kind of struggling through that time anyway, but I still went to college and I still did it. And then it just went completely crashed down. I think because of also all the change that had happened in my life, and then the change within COVID, I just didn't really know what to do. And it just went really down this horrible spiral of just not sure what to do. I had no sense of control. So I was trying to control myself and like really bad mental state. And then it kind of came to that was 18 at this point. And I said to myself, like, I just can't keep going like this. Like, I can't have this spiral of self-destruction. I need to use my like brain power for something useful. So that's when I started my business. And it wasn't just kind of like I turned up on a day like, I'm going to start a business.
Yeah.
I was very bored one day. I bought like these cups and I just designed them as a little side project. My mum, being a classic mum, took a photo and put it on Facebook, and a few people said, oh, can I buy one? And I really liked the idea of like making myself some money. I always have done that. Like, I sold clothing in the past and obviously saw my parents do it. So okay, maybe I'll just make a few more. I'll sell a few more. Just I have nothing else to do. It's COVID. I'm like at home doing nothing. And it turned out to be quite like 1 turned into 10 turned into 100, and it just kept going and going. And then I put it on Etsy and it just went mad, like crazy. I think one, it was just the right time.
Yeah.
I also seized an opportunity. I saw a gap in the market for reusable iced coffee cups. Like, everyone was going out on their daily walks, getting their coffee, but throwing away these plastic ones. So I wanted to make a choice, like a change in that. And I think everyone was trying to support small businesses. So it was just right place, right time. And I made 60,000 sales in that first year. Like,
okay, just pause there for a second.
Yeah.
So how old are you at this point? You're still 18?
I'm still 18
Right,
at
so
this
you're
point.
18.
Yeah.
You've started like designing some cups or making some cups.
I handmade every single one.
Okay, we also need to get into.
Yeah.
And then your mum kind of was a trigger really for this then. So she started posting them on Facebook, family, friends, I assume.
Yeah,
like, oh, like, I want one. It spirals, and within the space of a year, you then sell 60,000. Like, that is some meteoric, like, growth.
Crazy.
So we need to dissect all of this. But also, I really relate to when you say you never like sat down and thought, I'm going to start a business one day.
Yeah.
You accidentally kind of fall into it.
Yeah, and I like to call myself like an accidental CEO, because I just didn't. I always kind of knew I wanted to do a business, but it just like fell on my lap, and I just went with it.
Yeah, 100%. And I was the same. Like, I did geography. I studied, so kind of a little bit similar with kind of where we were going, but it was just like one day I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give this a shot.
Yeah.
And there's so much power in that. There's so much power in just being like.
So much.
But I was, I think, 21 at the time. You were 18. Like, how at that point when maybe your friends are going to uni or like starting full-time work, what was that trigger for you to be like, you know what, I'm actually going to start my own business here?
Yeah, I think because what had happened is that I was at college and I was about to do my final A-levels. I'm not going to lie, I did really badly in my mocks, and because I wasn't going to go to university, and I was just like, you know, I'll pull through in the last exam, I'll do it. COVID hit and they were like, oh, we're going to use your predicted grades. So I was kind of screwed. I was like, oh shit, I have really bad grades. So, I mean, I was going to take a gap year. I was going to be an au pair in the US and just travel and like figure out what I wanted to do, because university didn't really like appeal to me, but I couldn't do it. So I had to find something else. And I think just being at home, I was just like, I have to have something to do. Like, I'm one of those people that just like, I need something to do all the time. So little side project. I did apply for university. I went through clearing and I went to Greenwich University, but it was all online. Yeah. So I'm kind of like on my laptop, on my lectures whilst making these cups on the side. But I think I just, like I said, I just need something to do. I need something to be productive. And I like working for myself, and I like the flexibility of it. And also just building something that you can actually see what, like, the hours I put in is actually contributing towards something and my own dream. So that's kind of like where it started, I think.
That is so common. I hear that all the time, like with my own clients as well, when we talk about their origin story of how they got into business. That idea of just like building something. And I also think it's maybe a neurodivergent trait, especially with ADHD. So I work with a lot of ADHDs, and I have some clients who are ADHD coaches, and I'm also going through the process of like potentially being diagnosed with ADHD as well. And just like having something tangible that you can see the result of, like, and then hyperfixating on that, obviously, because ADHD brains wide for interest.
Trust, they do.
So it makes sense. But when you like started making the cups, what did that actually entail? Like But did you get cups online and then like add things to them? Did you like
Yes.
manufacture them from scratch?
Yeah, so it started out with me just buying some like plain pink, blue, green ones. And then there was this thing, have you seen like vinyl and like a cricket machine?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to like, we had one of those because my sister was into crafts, and I just printed some like designs out and I stuck it on this cap. But like, there was a whole process where you've got to seal it and everything. So I did that and obviously took all the photos, and I'm quite not too bad at content. Like I have some photography skills. And I think that's also what really contributes to how you sell something is the
100%.
content you provide for it.
Especially with a product-based ecom style brand.
Like the site and this, how you get your customer to look at your product in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So I just took some cool photos, and yeah, I think people were just like you said, friends and family picked it up, and I just found it so rewarding. Like when you sell the first one, you have that little bit of money. It's like, this is really cool. Then I just reinvested it and I bought more stock. So then I just went through the process of hand making everything, coming up with designs, which I never thought I was a creative person until I started this business, and I actually like quite am. And it just went from there. And then I obviously did everything. So I did customer service. I've done my financing for God knows how long. I used to hand wrap everything, take it to the post office in my car. And just like, I even got to the point where I was like best friends with my post office lady, because she just like would expect me to turn up with like 50 parcels each morning. She would just help me out. So it was just a very much like a one person, and it has been since then, a mission.
Insane. How old are you now?
I'm 22.
22. So for the 4 years, it's been kind of 0 to 100 almost, but with one person.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I think a lot of people watching this might be thinking about either starting their own business or just interested in like ecom, like having a product. I think there's also like a fascination with having a product that you can physically see and build community around and brand. I work in a service-based business, and it's slightly different because I don't directly see sometimes like the real outcome of the work that's been done. So for those people who are watching this and thinking, you know, I maybe have an idea or a concept and I know how to create content on social and build brand, what would you say are the kind of key things they need to consider before they just like go out into the world and do it?
Yeah, I think do your research before. I made that mistake. I spent a lot of money on things that were like not good quality and things that I didn't actually end up using in the first place. So make a good plan about where you want to start and just break it down to your end goal. I think that will save you a lot of resources. Also, you don't need a lot of money to start. I had £100. I spent £100 on my business when I started out, and it just grew from there. So just take small steps as well. Don't just think, oh my God, I got this massive business plan. How am I going to fund it? How am I going to like even grow it to that point? Start with one, sell one, reinvest, and just keep going. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by the whole like end goal. And I know I do sometimes. So just focus where you are and just one step at a time. And yeah, just use your skills that you have. Like, I didn't have any qualifications, but it did not stop me. I just went onto YouTube, watched videos, learned how to do it on the job, because one day I would turn up, okay, like I need to do my tax return. How do I do that? Looked it up and I just researched. So you can teach yourself a lot. Don't let anyone else put you off doing it as well. Like everyone will say, oh, you know, get a proper job. I had that comment so many times, get a proper job to me. And it triggered me so much, because like what I'm doing, I can see what I'm doing and I'm building something that I want to build. People always have an opinion. Just stick with your gut and listen to yourself. And if you've got a good product, it will do well if you truly believe in it.
Yeah. Talk to me about the evolution. In fact, before we go into that, just talk me through the actual product. Like the materials manufactured, like how people use the product day to day.
Okay, so ice reusable coffee cup. This is a very specific niche. I think a lot of people have gone into the hot coffee cup realm, which I just felt like there was a gap in the market, because I'm a big coffee fan and I love iced coffee, but I also hate the plastic use. So you know, when you go to like different coffee shops, they always come in one to throw away. So I wanted to kind of reduce that, and I knew that was a thing that I used on the daily. And if there's a problem that I use on the daily, I'm sure that other people will have this as well. This is also really good for a business idea. So I just got these like I said, plastic cups. I wanted them to be machine washable because I'm lazy as fuck and I can't be asked to like hand wash everything. Just chuck it in the washing machine. Honestly, I've got so much to do in a day. Like that is just not a priority. So I wanted to have a really simplistic product that was really easy to use, super lightweight. I could just shove it in my bag and forget it's there and just bring it out. But also saves you money. And also life hack, like you get a lot more for your money when you come with these massive cups into like a Starbucks shop or something. They fill up to the top. So
wait, that's such a good little hack.
Yeah,
like if your cups I didn't realize they do that. I thought maybe they're like, I guess some coffee shops might like measure up, but if it's, you know, they've made a little bit extra in the like the blender or whatever.
It depends who's serving you. If they're rude and like mean, they'll give you the right but like sometimes they just fill it up to the top because like, you can't really measure it anyway. So I'm like, thanks, I've just paid for a small and I've got
that's so smart. That's genius.
So there you go. If that's a reason to buy one, you should buy one. But it's also kind of trying to build up a community around what I'm trying to do, which is something that I'm trying to do now, and that was kind of what I figured out later down the line. Because at the end of the day, like when you go to get coffee, it's more of a social element. And I kind of always wanted to do something that gave back to the planet as well as the people. But that was very much came later on when I was like, went more into marketing, went more into brand awareness. But right from the beginning, I just wanted to make a product that people could use. And a lot of people use them for like parties and stuff. So I think like you were saying, with a product base, you get the feedback immediately. So I would sell one and like in a week's time I would get a review and the people are like, oh, I used this for my child's birthday and they loved it. And just having that single review made it so worthwhile for like all the hard work that I put behind it, because I could just see the direct impact that was making.
So in terms of the designs, that's something that's for a lot of people like a question that they have, like do you start with one core design or product and at what point do you diversify and create like different ranges and, you know, seasonal products? Talk me through that.
So I used a lot of Pinterest. I'm not gonna lie, I love Pinterest. Pinterest is great for any kind of creative ideas. And I think I always start small, always, because I think you can, like I said, get really overwhelmed of trying to do so much. But if you just focus on one or two really good products, it helps to really build up your reputation, especially with my store when I first started out, because reviews are everything. So if I did like 2 designs I did really well, that builds it up and then you can like go into expanding it. But again, I think it's just trying to find something that is appealing, creative, something that people really like. I tried to focus a lot on colors because it stands out quite well, and the cups themselves were like translucent. So when you pour your coffee in, it like really makes it stand out. But I just focused on like 3 to begin with. And then I started doing things like, you know, seasonal drops, like cool Christmas design or Halloween design. And then it just like those obviously limited editions, then builds up hype around those. People would buy them and just kind of expanding from there. But like I said, I was one person, so I could only manage so much. So I just tried to focus on what I could manage and just do it really well.
In terms of sales, how does kind of like your core products compare with the seasonal products? Because obviously if it's like Christmas, Halloween, Valentine's Day, whatever, there's probably like more demand around gift giving. So did you notice a difference in terms of like the sales and sell out?
Yeah, it was crazy because I obviously have an iced coffee cup. So you'd think like summer would be peak season, right? Which it kind of is, but as soon as I hit November the 1st, oh my God, it was insane.
Really?
Every single year, Christmas is crazy. So I think it's just trying to utilize that. I like geared myself up for Christmas. I'd buy extra stock. I was prepping myself. I would get people to help, like my little sister, my family, because there was just so much. But it's the gifting season, because the idea of the product is that it's really accessible to everyone. It's quite like relatively low cost in terms of what you can buy, but it's a great gift because it's, you know, something that people can use. It's something slightly different, and it just crazy. I also put the ad spend up over Christmas as well because I was like really push for it. But seasonality, you just have to really take it to the max.
And so to date, how many products have you sold?
I don't
roughly.
Oh my God, I have to say probably the 100K mark.
That's
amazing. It is. Most of those were like the first year, and like me hand making them. I have trauma over the hand making process, which I then obviously completely got rid of because I couldn't expand from that way. But it's just 1 cup, and it just went like that. It's wild.
It is insane. But like now you're diversifying and you're moving away just from a physical product to actually creating a real community and brand around Peppermint, which I absolutely love, and we'll get into that as well later. But in terms of marketing, you mentioned ad spend.
Yes.
And in the first year, I want to go back to that point, because 60k is a huge number for year one. What was your marketing strategy for that, and where were the sales actually coming from?
Yeah, so I had it all on Etsy, which was, I think, the like main driver for that, because at the beginning, especially for me, I was so like new to business. I didn't really have any money behind it. Putting it on a platform that has already got traffic and drive to it was fantastic, because I just got picked up immediately from people on Etsy just looking for gifts. But the way that Etsy's set up is that you can put like a daily spend of like ad spend. So what I'd do is I'd just put like £5 here and there just to start off, to play the waters, to see what like actually I got back. But it's also like the algorithm game. It's kind of like social media on that platform, that the more you sell and the better reviews you get, the higher up in the rankings you go.
It's almost like SEO then?
Yeah. So I just really like built upon that, and I think I really focused on customer service and like getting my 5-star reviews. That was to me like the most important thing, because that would bring me up in the search rankings to the point where I was like number one. Like every time you looked up personalized gift or like, you know, a coffee cup, I'll be there. And like immediately I'm getting the exposure from that. So then I started following more ad spend. Like it's all about slow progressive growth, because at the end of the day, like you don't want to spend £100 right from the beginning and not sell anything. And then you just see, like, you play around with it, see what happens. But yeah, I normally spent more money during like the seasonal time, just because I really went for it. But
yeah, it makes complete sense, because also competition is high.
Yeah, exactly. And this is also something that you have to like consider, and this is why I made my brand later on, because at the end of the day, like products can be replicated in some way, so you need to start building up a brand and a reputation for yourself. Which is why I obviously am like pivoting at the moment and trying to expand, because I wanted to build something bigger. But right from the beginning, I was just right place, right time, and just really focusing on like quality. And that's what really drove it.
And now let's skip forward to kind of this year.
Yeah.
You start posting on LinkedIn, and this has kind of taken the brand to a whole other place.
Yeah, definitely.
And opened up so many opportunities for you. So firstly, why LinkedIn, and why did you suddenly decide, you know what, that's the platform I need to be on? Yeah,
so it was a bit of a... I didn't really think that LinkedIn was a thing until like a year ago. I knew it existed because you like set up your profile during like university. They always say, set up your LinkedIn, it would be helpful later. And I was like, what even is this platform? It's like another Facebook. So I never used it. But then I like met up my friend, and she was like, oh, you should really start posting on here. It's really good for your reputability, like going forward, especially if you want to build a brand. So she helped me out. She kind of just like, you know, told me how to do the LinkedIn style, you know, getting a profile ready. She helped post a few here and there. So that kind of went going for like a couple months, where she helped like write some posts and stuff. And I think I gained like 1,000 to 5,000. She did quite well. But obviously she couldn't do it because she was like obviously doing her own thing. So she said, I can't help you anymore. You have to do your own thing. And that was about 5 months ago. And when I started writing my own posts, I was like, well, I might as well continue it, because I don't really know what's going to come from it. You might get me a meeting or XYZ. So I started just like writing my own things, like maybe someone will find this helpful. And it just went mad. Like when I started writing about my story, the growth just went through the roof. And I think what it is because I stick out like a sore thumb on LinkedIn. I'm young, I'm 22, I'm like quite open on it. Like I make plastic cups, guys, it's great. And I think people were just like, well, this is so different to like the normal LinkedIn corporate world that's on there at the moment. And I think that's what people just love, the authenticity, the uniqueness. I'm trying to build something else. And I think people just like really have loved the journey so far, because I've shared everything from like, especially now that I've completely relaunched and redone like a whole brand. People have been there from day one, and it's just gained the storytelling from that. But yeah, the growth has been wild.
It's amazing. There's so many like components of that I want to dig into. So
of course,
one thing you mentioned was you kind of was just completely your authentic self. And that differentiation is so important, because I use the exact same strategy about 3 years ago with one of my first ever clients, and she came on the platform with about 2,000 followers.
Yeah,
Today, I think she has about 55,000
Wow.
followers. But what we did, her first post went viral.
Really?
And then, like, in the 3 months after that, it was like millions of impressions from 2,000 followers. And it's exact strategy that you've just mentioned, where I said to her, let's just take what you're doing on Instagram.
Yes.
The exact same, because that's you, right? That's you.
So that's my backing as well, because I had an Instagram account before I had LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I just used to post it as like a little blog. I did some fitness things, and I've worked with brands like in the past, you know, for like PR and stuff. And I think that backing has really, like, I just transported it over to LinkedIn. I think that's what's done really well.
Yeah.
But like you said, just personality and putting your like twist to it.
In terms of personality, imagery, visuals, and having like a distinct visual brand. I don't think people talk about that enough. Whereas you have absolutely nailed that, because when I see a post on my feed, within like 0.5 seconds, I know it's you just from like the pictures, in terms of like the style, the aesthetic, almost that kind of aspirational community lifestyle that you're creating. So let's talk about that a little bit, because now you're, so at the time of filming this podcast, you haven't yet launched the whole new brand, but by the time it goes live, it will all be out there.
Yeah, guys, go check it out.
So tell me why you've decided to diversify a little bit and build an entire brand around Peppermint.
Yeah, I think that was always my goal at the back of my mind. But because I started my business when I was 18, I feel like I've just been in the learning realm. So I've been like in the background trying to learn how to build a business, like all the background knowledge that I needed to build for it. And then, I think I really wanted to incorporate what I love into my brand, because I wanted to build something that's building a community, because I work for myself and it can be really lonely, and anyone that's in the entrepreneur space can really feel that. And even if from my generation as well, everything is online, and it's just so much like no in-person connection. When you go outside, no one talks to you. So I always wanted to incorporate actually building a sense of friendship and sense of better life. And I've struggled with mental health in the past, so I wanted to kind of promote healthy living with mentality as well as like physical. So I wanted to build a brand around that. And this is what I'm doing with Peppermint at the moment. So we obviously have our cups, and I will still love my cups, and they'll always be part of what I'm doing.
I need a cup.
I bought you one.
You brought me one?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I have.
Oh my
got your
God.
present.
Amazing. Thank you so
I bring
much.
everyone one.
It was worth the 2 hour trip with the motion sickness.
Exactly, all worth it for this plastic cup. But so I always wanted to build something, because that was always my unique selling point, and like that's what people know me for, the cup girl. I've literally been called that before. But I wanted to build something where you can incorporate that into every single day. I really try focus on like good quality products and things like trying to reduce consumerism. So I built a bag, and the bag has a cup for your pocket. So the bag has a pocket for your cup.
Yeah.
And you can take this bag wherever you go. So I take it to the gym, I take it to work, and this is stuff that I build in my life, because my life is so chaotic. I go to the gym, I go up to like cafe to go work, and I wanted something that would always be with me and be like a best friend. So that's what I've done. And then I also built some net zero socks. So they're made out of this really special material called hydrocotton. So it basically breaks down through water, and then you can recycle it, and it's just like basically a net zero sock. I wanted to try, obviously make a better impact on the planet. And then some caps. So I'm trying to do like the active lifestyle without going down the clothing route, because I think that's just done to death. So I'm trying to incorporate everything that you have as essentials and do them really well. Then you can take them out, go meet friends, build this sense of community. I host loads of events, and this is my strategy for marketing. So I did a run club like a couple months ago, and I put like £30 I think behind that ad. I had 100 people turn up, like sign up for this event.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I think what was the main thing for me is when people turned up, like, okay, obviously brand exposure, it's great. The most important and valuable part of that whole entire event was what happened afterwards. People were sharing coffee and stuff, and like, oh, can I grab your Instagram? We should meet up sometime. That is the most valuable thing to me. If people can share real life connection whilst like incorporating my products, that is where I see value.
And especially with like something so universal like a nice coffee cup.
Yeah.
Having that in person, but then you can easily like switch between offline, online with that.
Exactly.
So you're marketing it online, building the relationships offline, but then it goes back online when people are sharing and documenting
This is it.
which is like such a smart strategy. And I always say this to anybody who's building a business, or even if you're just not building a business and you want to improve your career.
Yeah.
Document your journey as you go.
Always.
Don't wait till it's done to then think, share everything.
Yeah.
Start now. Create, and why does that work so effectively? It's because you essentially create an anticipation for a launch, for an event, for a product, but you're also building trust in you as a person. So whether that's to win investment, to get potential sales when you do launch, like it's just so important, and your story is testament to that. So when it comes to the events that you do, how are you in the future planning to incorporate both together more? Because I've worked with, I've seen some people do this where they have a product, do a big event, and the event's great, but they don't sell anything afterwards.
Yes.
So how do you overcome that?
Yeah, so I think this is again with what I'm doing with my branding. So the new branding, the new logo, it says Peppermint Community Club. So everything that I am selling is very much you buy the collection because the cup, the cap, the socks and the bag match. So I'm trying to incorporate all the events where everyone comes with their collection and they feel like they're part of a bigger thing than just the products. So it's like, if you look at big companies like Gymshark and stuff, they've cracked it because people want to buy the products so they feel part of this community. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I think events are great in terms of getting brand exposure, but people can see the products in real life. If people turn up with their collection, their friend might be like, oh, I want one of those. Let's join in on this. And also how practical the products actually are themselves. Like everyone needs a bag, but trying to incorporate more like a sustainable, more ethical bag with style. And I think there's such a gap in the market there because I really struggle to find good products that are like sustainable but also like stylish. And that's what I tried to do in my cups, because obviously trying to reduce single-use plastic but making it fun. I want to share this on Instagram because it looks like it's got a cool design, it's very aesthetic, and then people are like, oh, I want to get one of those, and we'll go have a coffee date together, get some content. And I think it's just trying to incorporate the social trends into what I'm trying to do and events wise. But yeah, it's a difficult one trying to do that. But I think the more you build up your brand reputation, and especially with personal branding on LinkedIn, people want to support you as a person and what you're doing. And if that is a product, they're going to go buy it because they want to support you.
100%. And talk to me about the bootstrapping process. Oh, God. Because now, so you said you're in a position where now you can reinvest money back into the business. Yes. You're also going through potential rounds of investment as well, which we'll speak at later. Bootstrapping at the beginning of your business, what does that look like? Just like the raw realities of bootstrapping, because I think a lot of people glamorize the investment route. Like we've made $2 million in investment, like amazing, but that does not mean you've made a penny in actual revenue, right? No. So bootstrapping, talk to me about it.
Bootstrapping is hard. I think the first thing I want to say to everyone is that you do not need a lot of money to go into a business. Like I had £100 and I started with that. I bought one cup for like a couple pounds and I just got the raw materials and I sold it, and then I just bought more, and I just kept doing every single product I bought more. I didn't really take much to begin with. It was just more I was doing it for fun and something to do. And then I started seeing the profit was actually ending up being more on how much I was spending on my raw products. So that's when it started things like, well, now I can expand the range, or maybe I can buy a few more products, or maybe I can do X, Y, Z, spend a bit more on ad spend. And I think number one is just start really small and just focus on growth and just reinvesting, putting more in, reinvesting, growing. Don't be scared. Like the whole investment route only has come to me now, and that's 4 years later since I started my business. I wouldn't even go into that unless you really needed to, because it's hard. And the only reason I can start going for investment now is because I've had those 4 years of growth, and I've proven to people that this is a product that works and I can make money out of it. But yeah, bootstrapping is difficult. I mean, that's why I've been a team of one for so long, because I can only afford myself. But it does get to the point where that is then almost like your CV to investors later on, okay, I made XYZ, so now you can invest in me.
And what a CV as well, but also that really shows how investable you are as
Yes.
a person, because I think that's so powerful. I think anyone who starts a business,
Yeah.
you have to know how to do every component of that business
Yeah.
at least to a decent level. You
Yeah.
don't need to be like expert in everything.
Yes.
Eventually you can bring specialists on board, but if you're bringing somebody in to do something and you yourself don't really know how to do that or have a rough grasp, it's probably going to fall apart.
Yeah, I think this is also a reason, like, I know every single part of my business to like the back of my hand, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know how to do everything, and I've had to build that up. I've had to teach myself how to, you know, do marketing, how to reach out to people, how to do brand collabs, what happens if things go wrong, customer service, everything. And I've done that for 4 years now that I know how to do it completely. So I'm getting to the point where it's too much work for me. So I'm trying to hire someone. This is why I'm getting investment right now. But it means that when I come to hire someone, I know what they need to do. I know how to advise them, even if they're better than me, like especially in marketing, you know, sales, they might have so much more experience than me, but I'm the only one that knows my business. So I can direct them into doing their job and to doing what they do well. But that's only because I've done it myself for so long.
100%. Definitely. I so agree with that. Talk to me about your, like the tools you use within your business, because for an ecom brand especially, like, where are you hosting? Where are you selling products? What's your like tech stack look like?
Yeah, so I started off with Wix, which I don't recommend.
I also started off with Wix.
I feel like it's like the route to go. Like everyone starts with Wix. I think it's because it's so easy to use. Like I just pulled it up and I was like, oh my God, I can just like change the color.
Drag and drop.
It looks great. And then I realized it's really rubbish on SEO and everything like that. And no one was seeing it. It looked fantastic, but it barely worked. But at the same time, like that kind of taught me like actually what a business is, and like having a website, having a front, and like branding, cool things like that. So I started off with that. But most of the drive was through my like social media things. That I was very lucky to have a bit of a social media presence. It's not massive, but it was something. So that kind of directed it through that route, which I just don't think my Wix website would have been found on Google because it wasn't very good. But then like about 5 months ago, I was approached by someone on LinkedIn because I was posting about it. And they said that they would help build up a Shopify website, which is fantastic, by the way. They've done such a great job. But again, this is the connections that I've had through personal branding and telling my story. Because I'm not a website designer and I really like struggled with that. I'm really good at branding, but actually like getting the technical side of things, just couldn't do.
I'm the same in that sense. And I also think I'm currently now like rebuilding my website 3 years in. The first website I outsourced to an agency, and I honestly, there was just like the pages were so bare. There was nothing there. It was not built for like sales optimization or conversion. No. The second website that I built myself in a space of 3 hours between like 1 a.m. until 4 a.m. in the morning. And it was like I still use it to this day, but those two websites, crap as they are, have made me 650k in revenue over 3 years. And this is the point I always make, and I think you demonstrate this as well, is you don't necessarily need to have like a fully optimized SEO conversion style website at the beginning. Use your following, use your community, use your social, use your personal brand, because that's how you drive traffic. 100%. So, sorry, carry on. Tech stack. So, Shopify is where you sell the majority of your products. Do you still use Etsy?
No. It was great to start off with. It was a great facilitator. And I'll always recommend to someone if they've got like a small project that they, you know, hand making things. But the thing is on Etsy, it has to be a handmade product. They have very specific like criteria. So I don't hand make everything anymore. I can't do it. I have trauma. I'm not doing that again. But in order to build a brand, you can't really sit within another brand, I think. Although, you know, people have their Amazon shops and stuff. But I wanted to build something that was better and to build my own thing. So I took it off Etsy, but I do value what that brought me. Because it obviously like brought me money and it brought me success. And through that, I could then go on to reinvest it into doing something bigger. But now it's Shopify. I'm trying to like obviously build up my social media following, and I'll be going into TikTok shop as well as Instagram shop, because the whole idea of the brand is to be a very sociable thing. So that obviously does include social media, but I'm trying to like incorporate in real life events as well. So Shopify, Instagram, TikTok, my primary things, but also LinkedIn. I get a lot through there. And
how many followers have you grown in the last 5 months? It was
onto LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Oh, so I started like 5 months ago. I was at 10,000 followers, and now I'm at 50k.
insane.
In 5 months.
The organic growth potential on LinkedIn is wild. It's just incomparable. But also, I think there's more value per connection, per follower, per like that you get. Way more value than other platforms, because most people on LinkedIn have purchasing power, decision-making power, or connections that they can they can introduce you to, right? Yeah,
especially for LinkedIn. Like, I'll get 2,000, 3,000 likes per post, and I'll have about 600 comments. But if you did that on Instagram, you might get like 10 comments, and you get like 4,000 views on Instagram, but it doesn't mean anything. Whereas on LinkedIn, I know that I'm going to get that engagement, and people are actually following the story because they've chosen to follow me for that reason.
You never know who could see your post.
100%.
We've done posts for clients where the post got 100 likes, but it was picked up by a journalist at the Washington Post. And then 2 days later, there's an article in the Washington Post. I had it with a client the other week for the Metro. 37 minutes after their post, a journalist at the Metro was like, "Hey, we'd love to do a full interview for our website." And that's the kind of opportunity that most people don't even realise is out there.
I mean, you say 100 likes on LinkedIn is a lot, but in Instagram it's nothing. But those 100 likes on LinkedIn are quality.
So powerful.
But yeah, like I said, like with LinkedIn, it's just been mad. Like all the likes that I get and all the comments and the engagement have led to really cool things. Like I've been invited to events that I've never would have been able to. Met some incredible people like yourself. Like I would have never have had that without the network from it. So I think it's really driven me as a person, and then also the backhand of that, my brand, because people know me for me, but also now because my brand. So I think it's trying to drive yourself, and I think this is what's going well with like a lot of companies that I'm seeing now with young founders or anyone starting out. Their personal brand is so directly related to their company, and that's when it does well, because there's a person and people want to support people always.
100%. I feel like the future of a lot of businesses will be founder-led,
100%.
or the founding team. At least 1 to 3 people in the founding team will be content creators. Because it's the most effective way to market. I can think of so many brands that have just like exploded in the last year or two, and it's only because they're personal. Like the founders are right at the front of their brands. And one I really like is like Perfect Egg, for example. I know the whole team because they're just so present with their social media marketing. But then the team, and then you buy the product. So it's all like funnels in because you want to support the people. Yeah, it really does. Tell me, I'm pivot switching here, context switching. So what is the best thing and the worst thing about running a business?
Best thing is that whatever you like, the work you put in, you directly see the benefit of it. And I think I always hated working for other people. I absolutely hated it because I just love seeing what I'm doing directly building towards my dream, and I hated working for someone else's. So I think that's like the most rewarding thing. Like I'll get up each day, absolutely love it because I know what I'm building. I've got a goal and it's working towards that. But the downside is that, one, it can be really lonely. Like I've spent the last 4 years working for myself. I'm still a team of one, and sometimes I'll just sit there at a desk all day and it's just like, this is so lonely. So much pressure. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I obviously have a goal, and that means that I'm sometimes hard to myself, and I know that, and it's not the best, and it's something I need to work on. But if you're ambitious, it's quite hard to not be. And yeah, I think it's also just the workload. Like I do about 10,000 jobs each day. I do all the social media content creation, I edit that, and then I post on LinkedIn, and I'm talking to clients, and then I'm selling things, take it to post office or XYZ, like I do every element of the company. And I think that's a reality when you start up, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm gonna have a massive team of 10 when I start up, unless you have the money to do so, which I just didn't. I had to do everything myself, and I think that's quite a lot, and it can be a lot of stress.
Yeah, for sure. But then like giving you credit here, and any other young person who starts a business at 22, like the amount of business marketing experience that you have, and at 21, 22 people are coming out of university with a marketing degree or a business degree. But just think like experience wise, skills wise, practical experience wise, you're so far ahead.
Because I went to university, but I dropped out. And I honestly think I've learned more in the last 4 years than I ever would in like at least 5 degrees,
100%.
It's an experience and just throwing yourself in there, and you just have, nothing comes with like learning. Oh my God, I can't speak. Nothing is as good as just being in it and just learning from experience.
Yeah. getting your hands dirty and just cracking on.
Go for it.
We've only got a couple of minutes left, so where can people find you?
People can find me on my LinkedIn, obviously, but the actual website, which is Peppermint, that's my brand. Go check it out. And also my Instagram, which is Poundful Katie.
Yeah, we'll plug everything in the description.
Yeah.
So all the links will be there. Final question.
Yes.
I ask every guest who comes on the podcast, what is one unpopular opinion or belief that you have that might be considered controversial or maybe one day might get you cancelled?
I think everyone's a bit too soft. I think people aren't afraid to, like, they're a bit too afraid to make some disruption. And I think everyone's a bit too much of a sheep. If you actually are not scared to make some noise, you're going to do well. So just forget what everyone else says about you. Don't listen to judgment and just go in for it. Make something really weird. Do it and just be weird because that's what makes you stand out and that's what makes you unique. And yeah, I think everyone's just a bit too soft and not willing to kind of work hard for it.
I love it. There you go. Be more weird.
Yeah, go for it. I am.
On that note, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to Rebels podcast with me, Shoaib Ahmed. If you've been watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've been listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then please give us a 5-star rating and a follow. The more successful this podcast gets, the bigger and better guests we can have on in the future. Thank you.